See, I seen. So it's gonna be a quick message. It's not gonna be nothing too crazy, or whatever comes to spirit, whatever comes to mind. I've understand that I need to stop expecting certain energy and vibrations to rise so quickly. And what I mean by that is like when it comes down to having patience with Babylon, I don't have patience for Babylon. I really don't. But I'm understanding, overstanding that I will have a need and a must to have patience with the ones that still participate in Babylon because no one is perfect. And even within our own selves, we still participate in Babylon and may not even know it or acknowledge it. And I understand, overstand that there's certain things that, quote unquote, will put me in a category of where I would still be participating in Babylon. If you was to say that having a YouTube channel is participating in Babylon, someone could say that about I. Someone could say that, well, that's Babylon because it's who started it, right? But I'm understanding, overstanding that when it comes down to having patience with stepping out of Babylon, I'm even speaking about patience within myself as well. Uh, and I'm understanding, overstanding that as a leader, as and within the collective, that I must hold myself accountable when it comes down to if I'm willingly, participating in Babylon or am I checking myself? You see? So what I'm saying is like no one is perfect, but if we're checking ourselves and holding ourselves accountable, you know, Jah knows, the intentions or, you know, to that extent. But what I'm saying is like don't beat yourself up about, you know, if you're still participating in Babylon, just acknowledge it and change it in that moment. Because it's not our fault within the programming that we have, you know, been a part of. It's not 100% our fault, but it becomes our fault when we're not acknowledging our faults. Ja, what's up, y'all? Grand Rising, good afternoon to everyone that's here. I'm just speaking on accountability within, our journey and, participating in Babylon. Nobody's perfect. That's not why we're here. But we're here to ascend. We're here to, put each other in a better position. And what I mean by that is simply by holding ourselves accountable and being patient with each other. I look like Drake. Well, I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but I mean, I appreciate that. I guess I'll take it as a compliment. Never got that before, but okay, maybe it's just a beard. But yeah, I never got that before. No one's ever called me say I look like Drake, but it's probably just a beard. Like I said, I appreciate everyone that's in the live and that comes across to this channel because it's a true consciousness. It's a true consciousness. Um, I'm Dominican. Maybe that's why Drake is maybe he might be Dominican mixed with Dominican or something like that. But basically what I'm saying is just like even right here, right now, like we're sitting there talking about Drake, right? But I could quote unquote say that's Babylon, and I don't want to talk about that. But I understand, overstand that no one is perfect. We're not here to be perfect. We're here to gain perspective and consciousness, if anything. You know what I'm saying? Like we're here to work together. And I understand, overstand is that if we're not acknowledging our faults in Babylon, we're basically saying that we're willing to fall with Babylon. So, like I keep saying, no one is perfect. That's not the focus. But the focus is to say, you know what? that was kind of Babylon of me what I did today. I could have been more patient. Saying to yourself like, you know, I'm gonna have more patience with my people. I'm gonna have more patience with my family. I'm gonna have more patience with my tribe. You dig what I'm saying? And it's acknowledging it's acknowledging your faults and taking accountability within this journey. And I understand that the conditioning that is happening to us. You know what I'm saying? The conditioning, the how we basically we we degrade ourselves even when we degrade ourselves even if we know like we're not even at fault. You see, it's like we should start taking accountability and saying like, no, it is Babylon's fault for some of these ways that we have came to be. It's not to just disnounce your own accountability, but it's also to say, hold on, I know where to direct my energy to. You know what I'm saying? I know who to point the finger at. And it's not always we supposed to point our finger at our family. We're not always supposed to point our finger at ourselves or just Babylon. It's about taking a full accountability as a wholeness and acknowledging like, okay, I take accountability for what I have done, but Babylon must take their accountability as well. And it simply just says it's starting to say to yourself like, okay, did I do this to myself, or did this start by Babylon conditioning? You see? So it's different if we say like, okay, I hold myself accountable for what I have done, but how did it start? You see? Like, did everything that you hold yourself accountable for, did it start by just you? No, it didn't. A lot of these ways that we eat, a lot of these ways that we think, a lot of these ways that we just move and accept did not all start off of just our own, strength. It came from a Babylon way of thinking, a Babylon, system, a Babylon, what I'm saying, just way of life, way of living. And sometimes we have to do the extra conditioning to get us out of that mindset, that extra push to get us out of that mindset. So I'm just sitting here today, just understanding that it takes a certain different type of conditioning to undo what Babylon has done. It really takes a different type of conditioning on what Babylon has done. You see? Because I'm knowing that it didn't all happen off of our own doing. Yeah, I know I am a singer. Yeah, I know how to sing a little something. In a rubber dub style. In a rubber dub style. Hey! In a rubber dub style. Hey, hey. Hello, hello. What's up, y'all? Appreciate everyone that comes join the tribe. Thanks for the subscribe. Thanks for the likes. This is basically a channel through Rastafari, a 4D mindset, 5D consciousness, where you come over here and you will be enlightened. You will be able to tap into your higher self, whether it's, by simply saying, I'm going to ground myself every day. Hey, or I'm going to meditate every day, or I choose every day to tap into my spiritual gifts. You see? Appreciate that. And it's just like, we have to understand that our diet, our mindset, our diet controls our mindset. There's a thing called the pineal gland. If you're doing everything in your power to decalcify your pineal gland, you're on your way. Yes, for my people, we have to understand that our pineal glands was programmed to be, you know, calcified. They want our pineal gland to stay calcified and to not us to be able to tap into our spiritual essence. They want our pineal gland to be clogged with chemicals and food and all these different type of chemicals, whether it's a Wi-Fi signal, whether it's through the food, whether it's through the water, whether it's through just the TV, the imagery. It's so much, things that they're doing to the mind of our children and our people, but it simply gets back to having a balance and saying, you know what, I do participate in Wi-Fi, I do watch certain content, I do watch TV, what is my balance? I do eat right. I do go outside and get my sun. I do participate in my community. I do, um, ground myself every day. I do my spiritual work. You know what I'm saying? I do journal every day. I do music every day. You know what I'm saying? I do live. I don't just indulge in certain content. I make content. I post content as well. You seen? So I'm understanding, overstanding that when it comes down to accountability on yourself, but also allow what Babylon has done to you and I, allow that to still evaporate. You know what I'm saying? Allow it to evaporate. Acknowledge it, but acknowledge it saying that I won't do this anymore. Acknowledge it saying like I do still eat meat, or I still eat meat, or I still don't drink as much water as I do every day. That is me participating in quote unquote having Babylon ways, but using it as a checkpoint, using it to check yourself to say, hold on, am I making content today, or am I watching more content than I'm making today, or am I listening to more music than I'm actually making today? You see what I'm saying? Am I eating more negative foods and low vibrational foods than I am having charged and highly vibrational foods? It's really taking a full accountability on ourselves, but also like I keep saying, and I will continue to say, Babylon holds its weight too. Don't sit back and allow yourself to get overwhelmed and to just say like, oh, it's all your fault. No, it's not all your fault. Babylon has done things, has programmed you to do certain things and to be a certain way. No, you don't understand? Okay. If you don't understand that the school that you went to growing up, there were certain things that was within that school that you did not need to know within, real life. But guess what? Babylon told you, this is what you need to know. This is what you need. No, you didn't need to. You just needed that to pass that grade. But you didn't need it in real life. It's saying, I have been, programmed by Babylon ways, but saying, no, that was what they did to me. But now I'm going to, reprogram myself. You're saying to yourself, like, no, I'm going to reprogram myself to know, like, hold on, these certain things that were programmed to me wasn't right, wasn't correct. He said, I'm 67. Yo, what is up with this 67 or 6'7" deal, bro? What is really going on? Like, the children were just talking about this 6'7" stuff just yesterday. I'm just like, yo, what is really going on? Is that basically saying that you're a bot? Like, I'm getting confused now. Can we play a game and stop talking? No, this is my channel. Define Babylon. I would define Babylon. Babylon is a anything low vibrational, anything that is taking you away from your essence, anything that's not natural, anything that is not healing. Seen? Well, you will be from my channel. I'm sorry. If you don't like my content, you can just leave. So you're gone now. But I appreciate everyone that comes into this channel, that comes to this platform for knowledge, for overstanding, for understanding and understanding. Seen? Yeah, and you see, I have my own ways of what I believe Babylon is. Others may go into the more technical way and the exact way, but I go into the way and say, like, if you are not using your spiritual gifts every day, I will consider you Babylon. Because how are you living in this world? And it's each and every day we're getting more and more spiritual, and you're not using your spiritual gifts each and every day. You're Babylon. See, I'm just different. It's a seriousness. I take accountability on when I am participating in Babylon, because there's sometimes, like yesterday, I was playing Offset's album. To someone that may not be, seen as Babylon, but to me, I know that it's Babylon because of the frequency vibration that it comes with. You seen? I used to listen to Migos. I am holding myself accountable, saying, you know what? I was listening to Offset's album last night, and you know what? That was kind of Babylon because it has curse words in it, and it is low frequency, low vibrations. Excuse me. Excuse me. And it has 808s in it that I'm sure targets certain chakras. Is listening to music backwards Babylon? I'm sure that it is, because it depends on what type of music. If you listen to music that has words in it, hip hop music, any music nowadays that comes through YouTube and it's not in the proper 432 hertz, I consider it Babylon because you're not aware of the frequency that is infiltrating your body. See, I was listening to Offset's album last night, but I was aware of it being low vibrational to a certain degree. But if you're listening to music and not knowing that it's low vibrational, that's Babylon. You see, I understand that it's a seriousness. No one is perfect. No one is perfect. No one is perfect. But when you start to hold yourself accountable, you start to say, okay, I know what not to do, I know what to do, and I know what to stay away from, and I also know what to indulge myself into. You see? See, so after I listened to Offset's album last night, I understand that I only listened to a couple of songs, but then I started right after that to play frequency music, to cleanse myself after listening to it. I burned a candle and was playing frequency music after I listened to it. You see? So I'm overstanding that I was listening to something that was low vibrational. I held myself accountable and say, you know what, I'm gonna flip this. I'm gonna burn my candle and cleanse my energy with high vibrational frequencies. You see? And this is what I'm saying, like each and every day, there's certain things that we participate in within Babylon, but then are we cleansing ourselves from it? He said, I've heard that listening to low vibration opens yourself up to demons. Yes, it does. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. So low vibrations, 808s. If you don't know what 808s is, it's a certain type of drum that's in a lot of hip hop music and a lot of rap music these days. So when the artist goes into the studio and they hear these 808s, they are bound to talk about low vibrational things, which is sex, money, drugs, clothing, fashion, low vibrational stuff. They're bound to talk about low vibrational things because the beat has low vibrations in it. So I'm sitting here knowing these things, overstanding that, yeah, hip hop and rap has low vibrational frequencies in it. So I don't listen to it. So then you realize like, the only reason why these people are talking about these negative vibrations and certain things is because of the beat, because of the frequency. So change the frequency of the beat, then you get a different type of message. See? And this is what I mean by certain people, individuals are not knowing that they're being infiltrated by Babylon. They're not knowing it because they're still rapping about certain stuff. They're still being a certain way. They're still eating certain things. They're still participating in low vibrational frequencies. And like I said, no one is perfect. But I understand it's about holding yourself accountable. Knowing that, okay, I was listening to this, but now I'm going to cleanse myself after I listen to it. See? Should I listen to low vibration in music played in church? No, you shouldn't. Because low vibrational music in church also is a low vibrational to get you to offering, to get you to get your money out your pocket, to get you to cry, to get you to feel other people's energies, to get you to stay low vibrational. So when you go home and watch football on Sunday instead of go home and cooking for your family. You see what I'm saying? Like certain stuff, like don't get it twisted. I understand that I grew up in a church as well, but there was always my family, every time they would go into church, they would be vulnerable to church. They would participate in the church, be vulnerable, cry a little bit, let off their energy, give that energy all to the pastor in the church, and then feel like, oh, okay, I release my energy by crying and being vulnerable at church. So then I come home and then do the total opposite. Go right back to a regular life. You know, whatever you was doing, whether you was playing rap music, going to the club, whatever people do, cooking low vibrational food, still cooking animals in your kitchen. You see, some people believe that, I can just go to church and release all this and give all that energy to the pastor, but then come home and no, that's not what it does. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. I understand that I come from that way of being. You know, my family would go to church and then right after church, they cursing in the parking lot. You know, they cursing out people on the way home. They talk about people on the way home already. You know, they're already ready to go out and they already gossiping on the phone. You know, in the church parking lot. You see what I'm saying? It's like no one's perfect, but when it comes down to holding yourself accountable, You have to hold yourself accountable and hold Babylon accountable for what they have done to the programming of the mind of our people. I get it that no one is perfect. We're not perfect. That's not the point. But we cannot sit back anymore and not allow and not allow and not just simply to allow Babylon to infiltrate our mind, and but to also to allow them to just infiltrate our mind. You see what I'm saying? It's like when we hold Babylon accountable, we're not allowing certain things to just happen anymore. We're saying, you know what? I'm not just going to allow this, rap music to just play within my house. I'm gonna tell them to turn it off. I'm not just going to allow my children or whatever, my friend, my brother, my sister, whoever I'm in the car with. I'm not just going to allow them to just play this low vibrational frequency because it's going to infiltrate my being, my children that's in the car too, and others outside of this car when I leave this car. You see what I'm saying? So I'm basically saying, like, if we're not listening, if we somewhat listen to low vibrational frequencies, cleanse yourself afterwards. He said church have no power to save or deliver anyone. Facts. It's all within yourself that want to be delivered. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And things of that nature. You have to be open to be delivered and things of that nature. Like you say, open to wisdom. You have to be open. But basically what I'm saying is just like, when it comes down to having Babylon ways, no one is perfect. But cleanse yourself afterwards. If you saying, I'm listening to, this new Offset album like I did. I didn't even listen to the whole album. I listened to 2 songs. Cleanse yourself afterwards. Hold yourself accountable and say, you know what? I was listening to low vibrational music, but now I'm going to cleanse myself. Seen? Do you have to submit to Yahshua? That's all on one's beliefs. Do you think mathematics is a universal language? I would say mathematics and coding. Mathematics, numbers, and the alphabet is the universal language. Because me sitting here speaking to you guys right now, I'm using mathematics as well because I'm speaking in a certain cadence. But also, I'm using coding to understand and overstand that I'm using the coding for highly vibrations, for a higher vibration conversation. So the universe knows my language. The universe knows that I'm speaking in a highly vibrational, knows my intention. I'm speaking from a highly vibrational state of mind. So when you put in mathematics and things of that nature and you put it for a negative, the universe knows that language as well and it will respond. Is music a universal language? Is music a universal language? I would say sound is. I wouldn't say that quote unquote music is. I would say that sound is though. Because the universe picks up on, the natural frequency of Earth. But it also picks up the negative frequencies of Earth. So it can be a universal language for people that choose to be Babylon, but it also can be a universal language for people that choose to be highly vibrational. So it really depends on one's being. And he said, do you have to submit to Yahshua? I wouldn't say submit. I would say more of accept. Even one may say that as the same, but I look as accepting Yahshua, meaning you understand the teachings, you understand the lifestyle, you understand what, Yahshua stood for and what was the point of his existence. That is what I feel like most people need to know. I wouldn't say you need to submit, but I would say that you would have to accept, saying that, oh, this was an actual being. This actual being did do this, was trying to do this for humanity, and all of this happened to him. So I wouldn't say that you have to submit, though. I would say you have to accept the truth about Yahshua. Is this your opinion, or have you studied this theory? It's mostly my opinion, but I would say if others was to study this theory, that my opinion will go hand in hand with the studies. So it's a little bit of both, because I have experienced certain things, but also I have my opinion. I lived in the mountains before, and I absolutely believe to a certain degree that the spirit of Yahshua was there. Was beside me, was within me. You see what I'm saying? But when it comes down to submitting, No, I made a choice to say, do I want to be on the vibration of Yeshua? You know what I'm saying? We have a choice to say whether we want to be on that vibration of Yeshua or not. We have a choice to say I want to be highly vibrational, but you also have a choice to be low vibrational. So I wouldn't say submit. I would say we have to accept it. Whether you believe in Yeshua or not, you have to accept that it was a being. He was a being. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes down to submitting, we all have that choice to say, I submit to Yahshua. That's basically saying that, like, you take on everything that Yahshua did. You take on the doctrine. You take on the righteousness. You take on basically everything that Yahshua did. That's what I see as submitting to Yahshua. But what I see as accepting Yahshua is understanding the truth that he was here in the flesh. You see what I'm saying? And accepting that Yahshua was the was the quote unquote closest thing to the Most High, quote unquote, it's about accepting the truth that came with Yahshua. But as far as submitting, that has to do with one's individual, being. He said, is Yahshua God? I feel like God is who made the heavens and the earth, and the Most High who made everything. Yahshua didn't make everything. Yahshua had to answer to God, had to answer to the Most High. So is Yahshua God? No. Yahshua is a specimen of God, is part of God, is a intermingling of God. But God is ultimately the Most High who made everything, made the trees, the animals, who made Yahshua. You know what I'm saying? And see what I'm saying? It's just like, I used to get that confused as well. I used to think that Yahshua and Jesus, and God was all the same thing, when I'm realizing, understanding that no, God is who made the heavens and the earth, the Most High, you know what I'm saying? And things of that nature, even if some people want to look at as Anunnaki as God, that some people do, because they see that as they see that as like they made us. So everyone has a different perspective. But yeah, Yahweh, some people even looked at Yahweh as Yahshua as an alien, but really aliens is just a high vibration. You know what I'm saying? Some people even look at Yahshua as an alien because they know that Yahshua was just a highly vibrational person. So they start to look at him as like, who are you? You don't belong here. You're not of this earth. You know what I'm saying? They demonized him in a sense, but he was just really just highly vibrational and tapped into a whole different realm. So they demonized him and and did these certain things to him and on the cross and things of that nature. Even if that's the whole story, but it was more about he was the only one during that time. But I overstand that Yahweh, Yahshua exists within all of us. It's all if we want to align with the teachings, if we want to attach ourselves, to high vibrational things, or if we want to choose to be low vibrational. So if you're choosing to say, I want to be low vibrational, you're not accepting Yahweh's teachings. You're not accepting, that way of life. But if you choose to be low vibrational, or, you're choosing a certain way of life. He said, I am that I am. Exactly. And Yahshua is high vibrational. See? But when it comes to Rastafari, we see Haile Selassie I as our quote-unquote God. But in essence, it's being highly vibrational. Because Yahshua, Yahweh, they made Yahweh look as a European God. And that is not who Yahweh is. And that is why I detach from the Yahweh, Yahshua way of being, because it is quote unquote Babylon in the sense of demonizing it and flipping it and saying it's a European God. No. Yahweh, Yahshua was chosen. And if I consider myself chosen, so that means Yahshua was made in my image, the image of man. Oh, okay. So yeah. So let's get it straight. Let's get it straight. We all have the choice. We all have the choice. It doesn't even matter whether you believe in this, and that. It's at this point is if you're choosing to be highly vibrational or not. Whatever is highly vibrational, lock in on it. Whether it's Yahshua, whether it's Rastafari, whatever you choose that is highly vibrational to you, because at the end of the day, the universe will respond to what's low vibrational and to what's highly vibrational. It will respond. So if you choose to eat something that's highly vibrational, it will respond to your body and make you feel great. If you choose to be low vibrational, your body will respond, and you may have a stomach ache. You may have, cramps. You may have diarrhea. You may have, you may be stopped up that day. Seen? So it's really all about being highly vibrational and participating in high vibrational things. No one is perfect, but we have a choice. You seen? He said, do you think vibrations fill the wall? I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I'm speaking in codes and riddles on over here, I see. But, I just understand that everything that I do is a 4D, 5D consciousness. And like will continuously say, no one is perfect, but no one is exempt from the mental attacks that Babylon is putting on us. Like I keep saying, through the food, the music, through the television, through the imagery, the psychological, misphilosophy. The walls of Jericho. You see, I need to go deeper into the walls of Jericho. Because Bob Marley talks about Jericho a lot in his music, and like I continuously say, no one is perfect. So I don't know everything about the Bible. I don't know everything about spirituality, but I know what I know. You see, I know what I know, and I know what I have lived. I know what I've participated in. I know what I haven't lived. I know what I haven't participated in, and I understand that everything from here on out is about vibration. It's about frequency. Seen? And I understand that they say this about Nikola Tesla all the time. If you want to decode, the things of the universe, start learning about frequencies and vibrations. It is so true, because you start to understand that it's simple. It's very, very simple. As if you choose to stay highly vibrational, you choose to be highly vibrational, that's who you will become. If you choose to be low vibrational and participate in low vibrational things, that is what you will become. But understand, like I started this video and was saying, Babylon, you must give Babylon and let Babylon hold its accountability. You must say, no, this is not who I was. I was programmed into this way of thinking. I was programmed into this way of life. Certain things Babylon has done to us. Do you believe Jesus rose from the dead? Have you ever studied that claim? So what I mean by what I haven't really studied it, but what I would say about Jesus, rising from the dead and things of that nature, is definitely a spiritual ascension experience. It's something that is not physical. So it can't even really be explained in physical words. We can explain it as best as we, can, saying that he rose from the dead and things of that nature, but this actual rose from the dead was a spiritual experience. It was something that is only can be seen or even, felt by an angelic, type of vibration frequency. It's not something that you can just see with your two eyes. Oh yeah, Jesus rose from the dead and you can see him rising from the sky. No, that's not what it is. The only reason why we're able to interpret it is because they changed it and flipped the terminology so many times. But when that actually happened, our beings of today will not be able to interpret it. If they was to see it happening today, they wouldn't be able to see it, because it's a spiritual experience that you have to be open for and totally be on that vibration to see it. You seen? It's basically like certain things you can't see with the naked eye. You would not see Jesus rising from the dead with your naked eye. No, you would not. The only way that a being will see that with their naked eye is if they're having a certain if they're on this type of spiritual vibration frequency that is, you know, super ridiculous high, like ridiculous, like you have to be going through some type of, you know, portal, basically, to experience, you know, seeing Jesus rising from the dead. You have to be within that portal too. So I understand, overstand. This world is not what we know it to be. But if we start to look at the world as frequencies and vibrations, you will start to see like, oh, I get it now. I can overstand it through frequencies and vibrations. Now I get it. But if you don't look at the world through frequencies and vibrations, a lot of things are going to be confusing. Did he physically rise from death? Did the Bible say that he was seen and was people after, or was with people after? Um, I think that from my perspective, I thought it was more of like a he rose from the dead. It was more of like a saying. I don't think the people actually seen it, but I think people started to believe that he rose from the dead. The after effect, meaning like they started to believe the teachings too after he rose. They started to say like, no, he had to rise again because now I'm starting to believe he's still here. I can still feel him around. That's what I believe when they say like, you know, um, like people saw him rise from the dead, started to like follow him after, is because they could still feel his presence after his physical body wasn't, you know, was diminished or depleted. They realized like, no, his vibration is still here. So he had to rise. You know, I still feel like he's alive. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't really a physical thing. It was more like it was a spiritual portal ascension type of thing. I read that he rose physically from the dead. And see, we all of us can say that. You know, we all have our different perspectives. But at the end of the day, I definitely feel that it is more of a feeling rather than seeing. Because how can you see someone rise from the dead but also not? You see what I'm saying? It's like you're feeling it, so then your eyes end up seeing it. But if you're not feeling it, you're not going to be able to see it. That is how I see the spiritual experience of seeing, you know, Yahshua, Jesus rise from the dead. It's more of you spiritually had to be in tune to be able to see it. You see? It's like you had to be on a certain vibration to see that certain thing. You know, like it's even like what I believe about shooting stars. Like someone that's on a low vibration ain't gonna see no shooting star. That's just my perspective. But if someone that's highly vibrational, you know, they're looking in the star, they're looking in the sky, say like, you know, these stars are so beautiful, and then they see a shooting star. You see what I'm saying? Like that's just what I believe. You know, everything moves off of frequencies and vibrations. If you're not out here searching to be highly vibrational, it's bound. You're not likely to see angel numbers. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you're not out here searching for spirituality, if you're not here like searching for, you know, messages and, you know, decodings, you're not gonna get it. But if you're out here looking and searching for the Most High and things of that nature, the Most High will respond to you. Whether it's through animals, whether it's through the sun, whether it's through the, you know, the rain, whether it's through angel numbers, whether it's just simply by giving you the spirit, by simply saying, I just feel good today, and I just feel good today. You know, you will get, you know, spirit will respond to you once you're searching. So why did his apostles die treacherous death, claiming he rose from the dead? Because, okay, I don't know everything about the Bible, but from my spiritual experience and my spiritual knowledge and wisdom, the reason why they had treacherous deaths is because these people that they were able to experience the rise because they were spiritually inclined. The ones that was killing them and things of that nature, they weren't able to connect to this spiritual experience. This is why they demonized them and did them so bad, because they weren't able to connect to this spiritual experience. So they would kill them all because they thought they probably were crazy, or they would whatever they thought that whatever they thought that they were. But it was a simple fact that they were probably jealous and upset that they weren't able to be highly vibrational enough to experienced the rise in the physical. That's just what I believe. So I believe that they gave them, treacherous deaths, and, you know, because they weren't able to fully connect to that portal, that essence of, Jesus rising from the dead and actually seeing it. They weren't open enough. They were more in a third dimensional way of thinking. Wherefore, if you're seeing Jesus rise from the dead, you're in a 5D mindset automatically. If you're seeing someone rise, you're in a different type of spiritual lane. You're tapped into a different type of spiritual portal. Your DNA is a different type of DNA. Your DNA is cleansed. You know what I'm saying? And things of that nature. So when someone said that they see anyone rise, that means that person is being highly vibrational enough to be able to see it, to participate within seeing that. They were separated and died alone. Yes, it's very true. And it's not because, and it's not, and I believe it's not just simply because they asked for that. No, it's they knew that they were going to be castrated, and they knew these certain things already, because they already was participating in a high vibration way of thinking. So they already knew low vibrations were going to come out to get them, or they already knew that they were going to die alone and things of that nature, because they were highly vibrational, and they didn't see themselves as dying. They saw themselves as transitioning. Anyone that is highly vibrational, they don't look as death. They see death as a transition. You know, when you are highly vibrational, you don't believe that you died. No, you just believe that your energy is transitioning to a different realm. You see what I'm saying? Babylon way of thinking, and ones that's low vibrational things, but in reality, everyone does not die how they death is a spiritual transition. And just like how in the movie Ghost, if you never seen that movie with Patrick Swayze, it can be like that for others. You can just rise. You know what I'm saying? You can, go in the pits of hell, and whatever that person's low vibrational may be, they can come get you and bring you to a tunnel, however you believe. He said, would you be castrated for a lie? Would I be castrated for a lie? Would I be castrated for a lie? No, I won't be castrated for a lie, because in my perspective, if I'm speaking something and I'm not knowing that it's a lie, it's all about intentions. I didn't know it was a lie. But someone will be castrated if they knew that it was a lie, or, back in the day, or would be castrated if they knew that something was a lie. Yeah. But if you don't know something is a lie, you shouldn't be castrated. I know I got off topic, or whatever, on topic, but I just understand that we have to understand and understand that Babylon programmed our mind a certain way, and it's up to us to decode, to stay highly vibrational. You know what I'm saying? It's a real test. No one is perfect. That's not the point. I will continuously say that, but I will say, hold yourself accountable. Today, say, you know what? I am going to ground myself every day. I am going to hold myself accountable on the spiritual work that I do every day. I am going to hold myself accountable to the music that I listen to. I am going to hold myself accountable to the foods that I eat. Seen? And I'm sending peace, love, and light to each and every last one of y'all. And it's Jah Rastafari, Selassie, Seen?